Good morning, it's Friday again. I'm Maurice Barratt and I've got another food for thought. I've been thinking this past week about abiding in Christ. I want to challenge you. Are you abiding? Well, how can you prove it? Well, if you abide in the vine, you'll produce fruit. That's the proof that you produce fruit. Fruit is the life of the vine. It's the consequence of being connected into the tree. So if the branch is connected to the tree, the consequence is the life of the tree will flow out into the fruit. So the fruit of the Spirit, the character of Christ, the Beatitudes, blessed are the humble, blessed are the meek, blessed are the merciful, the peacemakers, hunger and thirst after righteousness, etc. And the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, gentleness, peace, long-suffering. There's 9 attributes to the fruit, and there's 9 beatitudes. That's the character of Christ. That's the fruit that we're supposed to produce. Fruit bearing isn't winning souls. We should evangelise, but that's not abiding in the vine. Abiding in the vine is producing the life of Christ, manifested in mortal flesh. So it's not debatable. You can't bear fruit if you're disconnected to the tree. And if you don't remain there, how can you bear fruit? Because you've got to remain in the tree. John put it, well, there's a lot of verses in John 15, but it starts off by saying, this is Jesus talking, I am the true vine. You know, I never realised when he said, I am the true vine, it presupposes that there's a false vine. Because he wouldn't say it otherwise, I'm the true vine, therefore there's a false vine. And this is a bad tree, and it won't bear good fruit, it'll bear bad fruit. Jesus says a lot about this in John 15, I can't go into it. But we're called to bear fruit. Let me read what he says in verse 16. You've not chosen me, but I've chosen you and ordained you that you should go forth and bring fruit, and your fruit should remain. Last week I talked about perseverance, enduring, that your fruit perseveres and endures, that whatsoever she'll ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. That's a very strong promise. Well, false prophets don't bear good fruit. That's how you know them. You know a false prophet by the fruit. It's bad fruit. Let me read it. Matthew 7 verse 15. Jesus is talking in the Sermon on the Mount. Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing. They act as though they're bearing good fruit, but it's a bad tree. Inwardly they're ravening wolves. You'll know them by the fruit. So a man who says he's a Christian and connected to the true vine and is proud, that's the wrong fruit. If he's covetous, asking for your money, that's the wrong fruit. If he's boastful, if he's not humble, if he doesn't have the fruit of the Spirit, he's connected to the wrong tree. Whatever he says, he may say I'm connected to the vine, but excuse me, it'll be the wrong vine. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore you'll know them by the fruits. So you know which vine they're connected to, the true vine or the false vine, by the fruit. Connected to the vine, connected to Christ, you'll always produce the life of Christ. Connected to the false one, you'll always produce the fruit of the world. You'll think like the world, you'll act like the world, you'll be covetous, you'll be proud, you'll be boasters, or all the things of the world. Well, the parable of the sower is interesting because it talks about bearing fruit and not bearing fruit. Matthew 13:22. He that receiveth seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the cares of the world, the deceitfulness of riches, covetousness, choke the word, and he becomes unfruitful, stops bearing fruit, doesn't persevere, doesn't endure to the end, doesn't abide, and is cut off. You know, the letters to the churches are very revealing. Ephesus, the first church, it says they've left the first love. Well, only love manifested in obedience bears fruit. If you say you love God and you're not obeying him, you're not living the Sermon on the Mount, you're deluded, because love is connected to obedience, and only love connected to manifested in obedience will bear fruit. Let me read what he said. Revelation 2 verse 1 to 4. Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus write, these things says he that holds the 7 stars in his right hand, and who walks in the middle of the 7 golden candlesticks. I know your works, your labour, your patience, and how you cannot bear them that are evil, and how you try them that say they're apostles and not, and have found them liars, and have borne and had patience for my name's sake, and has laboured and not fainted. So they had some very good attributes. Nevertheless, I have something against you, because you've left your first love. You've stopped being obedient. You've stopped keeping my commandments. If they've left the love, it's not doing Christ's commandments. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. So they're not bearing fruit. They're not abiding anymore. They're carrying on with the good works, but they're not abiding in Christ. So let me encourage you to abide in Christ, because you'll never manifest the fruit, which is the life of Christ, if you don't. Let me encourage you to look at what the early church did. I'm going to read from Acts 2:42. They did 4 things. This is the beginning of the revival of the church. And they continued steadfastly in apostles' doctrine, fellowship, breaking of bread, and prayer. They just did those 4 things. That's Christ's life. That will keep you abiding in the vine. That will mean the life of Christ. When you read the word, not the dead letter, it will get Christ in you. You'll bear fruit. If you have fellowship, the Christ in me meets the Christ in you, not socialising, that's abiding in the vine. If you take the breaking of bread and desert it, you're not drinking damnation to yourself. You're getting resurrection life. That life that will produce the fruit. And when you pray, not platitudes, not the dead letter, but you pray to get a relationship with Christ in your closet and together, that'll put the life of Christ in you. And let me read on. The wonderful consequences of this life of Christ manifest. And many wonders and signs were done by the apostles, and all they that believed were together and had all things common, and sold their possessions and goods and ported them to all man, as every man had need. This isn't communism, this is the life of Christ manifest in community living. And they continued daily with one accord in the temple, breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising God and having favour with all the people. And the Lord added daily to the church such as should be saved. That's amazing. God added to the church because they did these 4 things. Well, the time's gone, but if you're not doing these 4 things, you need to seriously start. Read Acts 2:42 and see what they did. I've written 4 books on the early church lifestyle. There's a book for fellowship, a book for prayer, a book for the apostles' doctrine, and a book for the breaking of bread, explaining how important it is that we get back to this early church lifestyle. They're available from Amazon as a paperback or Kindle download. And we've got a new shop in Shopify. You can get it there. So if you're not doing these things, you need to start doing them if you want to continue to bear fruit. So time's gone. Have a wonderful day. Be fruitful and keep thinking.